How old are your girls?
My daughter's just about to turn 3, and then of course
Okay.
there's my wife, which is
Yeah.
funny because sometimes as a dad you're like, what the? I'm being yelled at by multiple women at the same time. One's tiny, one's like it's funny. It's I don't know. You know what I
Uh,
mean?
I know, man. I get it.
Yeah.
I two girls and then a young man. And my oldest this morning, we were taking her to work. She's 14, but she's working
Yeah.
about 50 hours a week right now. Taking her to work, and I try to pay her a compliment and trying to be a good dad. And I'm like, oh, look at that guy. She works with horses and she's got this whole outfit on. I'm like, man, the green and the brown. And then that's all I said. And she's like, oh, good job, Dad. You got your colors. Like, way to go. I'm like, you're a smart ass, dude. Like, way to go. Way to get this from your father, I think. Uh,
Funny. Yeah. No, I just put my laptop on my tool bench here, and I'll use it as like the office in here sometimes. I wasn't trying to
yeah.
flex, but the background looks cool, I guess, you know.
It looks great, dude. No, you flex all you want. That looks freaking awesome, man. So, no, that's good stuff.
Anyway,
Thanks
thanks
for
for
hanging
having me.
out with us, man. No, man, honors absolutely mine. Shout out to Simon Wolfson, who's one of our guys, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you know Casey?" And I said, "No." He says, "Well, I know you know Andy, and I know Tucker's familiar with what you guys do as an organization." He's like, "I think you're gonna love
Yeah.
this, dude." And
I appreciate that.
oh my
Well, how
gosh,
did he know me, or how did he know of me?
I think he heard of you first on Andy's show.
Okay. Oh, that was
And
recent.
yeah, and then he started diving in, and we've got guys all over the world building. We're pouring into families and pouring into young men and building these
Yeah.
campuses for real education. And he's like, dude, this guy is speaking so much of our language. He's like, we got to chat with him. So,
Dude, I've been in the trenches, like fording my own path through the wilderness for the last 11 years, building that nonprofit Genius Garage for college engineering students and whatnot, among other things. So, like, I've got the stories. So it's kind of cool to be kind of a car guy in that niche and becoming
yeah,
like kind of internet famous from that. And then sort of like now getting into, shall we say, more the mainstream topical, social, political things with Tucker and Andy and podcasts and
right.
such. Because I
So
got a lot,
cool.
got a lot to say from time in the trenches, man.
Dude, I know you do. And so that I think that's one of the things that's fascinating to me is I started diving into your work, man. I'm fascinated by men that are kind of the Renaissance man, right? But I'm also fascinated by those who dive into mastery. And then there's sometimes to me there are men who seemingly overlap that I'm kind of a master of many, right? And so the engineer, the race car driver, the creator, the mentor, right? Like all those hats you wear, man.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. Do you identify with one kind of now more than the other? How do you look at yourself on that?
Man, I don't know. In fact, I kind of loathe it. Not loathe, but I don't love it when people say something like, "What do you do?"
Yeah,
So
I
I come
hate
up with
that
my
question. Yeah.
canned answers. It's like, "What do you mean? Like, how do I make money, or what do I do?" That's what I asked him because that already sets the playing field for getting them
Mhm.
to start thinking. That I don't think anybody's ever asked them a question.
Yep.
Um, but how do I look at myself? God, I don't think I look at myself any differently than just an American man that, I like things, guys, that I like cars and planes and guns and watches and stuff, but I actually
Yeah.
care about my community and family, I think.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
history, I look at the future. And if there's something that I think needs to be changed after observing it, that nothing's being done, well, I'll step up and be the guy to change it or make it if need be. So that's how I'd encompass myself.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. One of the things that I hate most, I've gotten to work with families for the last 20 years, in schools and then building schools and building what we're building now with this organization. And one of the questions I hate, I hate the question from it, well, what do you do? I'm the same thing. I'm like, fucking, how much time do you got, man? I don't know. Like, we
Yeah.
got a lot of, like, what do I do? What am I interested in? Who am I as a dad? Who am I as a husband? Who am I as a creator, as an entrepreneur? Like, what do you actually want to know, or do you actually want to know anything? And then I hate the questions for the kids too. What do you want to be when you grow up? I hate that question. What do you want to do right now? What are the things you want to create right now? What are the problems you see, and what are you interested in solving, and how are you doing?
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's that
Exactly.
mentality, dude. Why do you think was that something your parents is like? How come you have that mentality? Because that's a genuine
You're
question.
speaking of mind mentality. What made
Yeah,
me
you
different?
in particular, man. Because I'm like, why do more people not have this mentality?
My upbringing, not in the sense of like what my parents did with me, but my upbringing in terms of the environment and the journey was different than most.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Tiffin, Ohio, which is maybe like 20,000 people in the 80s, a kid in the 80s, adolescent, teenager in the 90s. And the family business was a little public golf course. Okay. So
Mm.
that, and I'll come back to that in a second, but that sets the stage for a certain component in a life and an outlook. But the other aspect is, my both my parents were only children. So I had no aunts and uncles or cousins per se. So I always grew up with older people, older generations, right? And my dad's dad passed away early on. He was a car guy. They're both professional golfers, that sort of thing. So my dad was the car guy and had the business. But all the men on my mom's side of the family, all military going back to the 1800s. So Air Force, Cold War B-52s, nuclear over the polar ice caps, F-4 Phantoms over Vietnam, refueler later on. My granddad, who meant the world to me, super close to, he was Army infantry, Battle of Okinawa.
Mhm.
So, rough stuff like that. And then an optometrist, went to the Ohio State University, graduated in 1950 on the GI Bill, and then they were children in Honolulu, Hawaii in the 30s before Pearl Harbor because their dad was military. And then their dad was in the cavalry and they still have the bugle that he blew in the cavalry. And then their brother-in-law, they married the sister on that generation, flew literally every fighter plane through World War II and retired at the F-86 Sabre jet. I mean, the dude got shot down over, France and rescued by the French underground and stuff. So like these are the men that I grew up with. And that was kind of just normal. So I was not in the military, but I grew up with the old generations, just real world, take responsibility, care about your family, your animals, your community, and you make stuff happen. And the stories
Right.
were they'd already flown around the world and done everything and had the key to nukes and stuff. So, the big things, the living through all the history and talking about it was like imprinted on me just naturally. And then the
Yeah.
golf course where I grew up as a kid is you work with the family business. So my dad, throughout all the season, when the weather's good enough, 6 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, 7 days a week, period. Okay.
Mhm.
He had his two dogs he went to the golf course with. We all worked. I mean, maintaining a fleets of equipment from golf carts to tractors to mowing to agronomy to thousands and thousands of people coming through a year that I was exposed to as a kid. So I was always in the public eye, always talking to people. And that includes like dudes getting too drunk, driving golf carts,
Right.
and
Right.
drinking in the 80s, right? Like for me, the 80s is kind of like the movie Caddyshack, I joke, is sort of like my
Oh,
childhood.
I
Okay.
believe that.
So that's what kind of set the stage. We had to be responsible for ourselves. Both my parents went
Yeah.
into fine art, so they kind of looked at things different, history, and fixing things. The value of a dollar, like my granddad being Great Depression, and my parents working for it. You didn't buy stuff that wouldn't be worth anything. Like I didn't just go out
Mhm.
and spend my money on dumb shit and party and do stupid things like that. So like you look behind me, I got a 31 Buick, I got an old MV Agusta and my Mercy, and all those were bought at the least amount of value that they are before they go up. I just was raised in a different kind of way, in a different kind of setting. And
Yeah.
I don't like to take shit that's stupid shit. I don't have a problem with authority unless it's stupid. So
Yeah.
I will fight back. So maybe that's the older generation in me. And I will open my mouth and I will take a risk. So that's probably the having your own business kind of side of me and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So you just I just am not okay just sitting around being an idiot, like on the metaphorical beach through life and let everything go to hell and pretending it's not.
Dear
So
God.
here I
Dear
am,
God.
dude.
Speaking my language, dude.
I hope that
Absolutely.
wasn't too long a soliloquy.
Yeah, are you kidding? Shut it. That's a freaking, I think you're speaking our language right here.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah, I'm really honored to be here, man. Thank you.
oh man, it's what like honors ours. This is exactly. I tell this story a lot, but we've got a set of we had a family contract here that hangs on our wall, and one of
Okay.
the rules in our home is no complaining. Fix it. Like you don't complain
Yeah.
about stuff. It's if there's something that is worth running your mouth about because this is a problem. Cool. What's the solution? What are we going to try to do about it? Because if it's not worth putting a fight to it and trying to make something better, then what? Then you're okay with it. Then that's your standard, and then don't complain about it. Otherwise, raise your
Yeah.
standard and do something about it, man. And that's we can make that normal again if we just act that way.
Correct. Oh, and I will complain about something as I initially start working to fix it
To
now because
fix
I'm
it,
like,
sure, exactly.
screw
Yeah.
this, them, this is crap. No. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
and
do
then
it,
this
right?
is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. And we get to make that normal. We get to make that normal for our circle. And we get to make that normal for our kids too. It's an interesting time, man. So you got a 3-year-old, and you
Yeah.
know mine are 14, 12, and 9. And so
Copy.
we raise them with that same sort of old school mentality. We bought a farm specifically so they can get up and work all the freaking time. My
Mhm.
14-year-old, again, she's working 60 hours a week this summer, and she loves
Wow.
every
Nice. Yeah.
minute of it. Like this is the mentality that we want to pass along to our kids, even though they live in this world now where victimhood, at least in this current cycle, victimhood's on the pedestal, right? And it's more sexy
Yeah.
to complain and take your victim points and stuff. So how do you look at rate? Like, how are you and your wife talking about raising kids right now with this?
Doing the best I can. I'm thinking about it. So we live in a very nice, I don't want to call it suburbia because it's not typical like big city suburbia. I live
Yeah.
in Perrysburg, which is a small community. Actually, Perrysburg and Washington, D.C. are the only two cities in America that were actually laid out by Congress.
Oh, wow.
So Perrysburg is the encampment for the Battle of 1812, named for Oliver Hazard Perry, and we're right by there's the colonial fort or the old
Yeah.
fort is right here. So it's a lovely little town and kind of the nucleus here, sort of America before chain stores and credit cards. So it's really nice in that regard, being a small child. But I do think about what you said, all the things that gave me the opportunity to be who I am, have all those components was because of the golf course and
Mm,
because of the strong men I was around
mm,
when I was young. So I worry about how do I uh, give my daughter and any future kids to come those kind of same opportunities and such. I'm a little worried about that with us living in just the community and just having the shop.
yeah.
I think it's doable, but for instance, what you touched on with regard to a farm, there's so many aspects of that that create a certain mentality and accountability,
Yeah.
and just the nature of work. And also, and this is very important, I think, even as an adult, I still ingrain this upon myself, train myself to like this. But such a valuable component of life and good motivation is to take genuine pride in doing a job well done and fixing something up.
Mm,
So I think a lot of car guys, as an example, and collectors get in the dopamine hit, hunting trouble of just like looking for the next thing on Facebook Marketplace, which is cool.
yeah.
We go, well, kind of got to do that because we all trade. But if that's where you find all your reward, you'll never grow as much without doing something. So I take a lot of reward in like doing little projects, fixing things up, working on the house. So yesterday I had a big lift. I was doing like the front, like awning kind of Frenchy looking roof over the entryway, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, so in sense of being a Renaissance man as it
Yeah.
is, and going back to your statement early on, they say that there's a statement about like a jack of all trades, and we
Yeah. Yeah.
just say that, and people almost kind of look down upon, oh, he's a jack of all trades, like they're not special. But the actual full statement, if I'm not mistaken, is it's better to be a jack of all better to be a jack of all trades than a master of one. I think
That,
people,
that might be it. Yeah.
and the other saying that's somewhat similar is they talk about a rolling stone gathers no moss, like that's a good thing. But if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, was that not a Japanese saying from way back when, meaning that's actually a bad thing? Like you
Yeah.
you need to
Right.
have
Right.
roots and connection to your world and philosophy and touch enough to gather some moss.
Right.
So I just
Yeah,
kind of,
that's no, I agree. And so it is. It's a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
there
And
you
so
go.
it's talking about the value and versatility of that broad knowledge. Right.
Right. And just another little point on that. And I'd probably get in trouble if there's any welders and machinists around. I see this in the car world, right?
Yeah.
Dudes that are very, very proud of their ability with like one fabrication technique, whether it's welding, like they're an awesome TIG welder or
Yeah.
they're awesome at shaping aluminum. They become incredibly arrogance, not the first one. It's they become very
Like dogmatic,
like
maybe.
so proud of their art
Yeah.
that they think anybody that builds something that doesn't do that one form as well as they can is trash,
Hmm.
when all the people that I've known that become, it's like they're smelling their own farts and they like it so
Yeah.
much. And
Yeah.
it's like that South Park
Yeah.
where they're in
Yeah.
San
Yeah.
Francisco with the wine glasses. You know what I'm talking about? It's like I look at these guys that think they're amazing for welding and that they should tell everybody how to do everything. But I'm like, how many cars have you built? How many races have you won?
Yeah.
Zero. Like
Right.
I MIG weld good. Like I can build a frame. I built plenty of cars and done everything at one races and done everything. But these guys think my welding is crap because that's not the only thing I do. Yet I
Yeah.
built a zillion cars and had real results and taught people when they just take Instagram pictures and think they're hot. And I think that's a trap for people. Does that make sense in terms of the
Right.
master of one becoming their own god in a way?
It absolutely makes sense, man. And we fall into anybody outside of that too. And I say anybody, that's a broad statement, but I think a lot of us will fall into this assumption that because somebody is really, really good at one thing, oh my God, they're good at everything too. And that's a
No.
false, right? And that's false too. But we'll transfer that kind of halo effect
Yeah.
across the board, and that's just a recipe for getting all funky, man. Yeah, and that ties into
And
I've heard you say like real experience beats any diploma, and holy hell, like that is. Dude, that
like,
is
what can you do?
What can you do? What
What
is
can
the
you do?
actually value that you do that you bring to the table? Man, that is like it is one of the biggest things that we are continuously fighting back with when we're talking about building these campuses and serving these kids. And dude, we've got high school kids that are graduating with their college diploma too. Like you can do that if you want to, and that's great. Like go get it. And we've got high school kids that are making six figures. Great, go get it. Like, and we've got high school and like all of those experiences are there, but it's the experience. It's not the credential around it that made that happen. It was the experience and them stepping in. It did Genius Garage help kind of unlock that, or was Genius Garage because you already understood that?
In terms of learning that aspect of the
Yeah,
mindset of people,
yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah,
say it unlocked my knowledge in seeing that. Genius
yeah,
Garage was bore from my what I considered bad experience in college
yeah.
because we had no good mentors, no good directions. There was no place for people that are super bright. And I just didn't like it. And after 10 years of fighting to make any kind of way after college with my shop doing, excuse me, car builds and race car restorations and race prep and such, one day I had an epiphany because I was mentoring some college students at Center for Automotive Research with their electric Grand Prix motorcycle. I thought, if I'm going to be involved with cars and racings and airplanes anyway, why don't I do it in a way that matters? Because if
Yeah,
I'm just building race cars for myself for fun and going hundreds of miles away to drive around a track and there's nobody there, like, what am I doing? I literally had that epiphany in a Formula car in the rain, going up the high speed squiggles to the back straight at Watkins Glen. I remember thinking, like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Literally, while driving the car, and that stuck with me. So I did Genius Garage because college programs have Formula SAE, which is they build this little formula car. It's not a real world class, it's a collegiate series, and it's pretty good. But the problem with that is it's still within the academic vacuum.
mm,
So my mindset was, all right, let me find the ones that can actually succeed, that have the actual mindset and direction. Not that they're the best student, but they're the ones that can really go somewhere and do something. And if you give them an environment that's somewhat supportive, but in the real world of mentorship, for them to come together as a team, and then only professional level racing cars are building airplanes. No cutie pie go karts, no cutie pie academic vacuum. Like you guys, we're setting up an Indy car and we're going racing in 3 months.
yeah,
What we're doing, okay? And by doing that and getting them to do writing assignments, so we can talk on later because it's fascinatingly complicated. Um, that they grow in a way they can't in school, and then they have something on their actual resume that they did tangibly with their own two hands, where employers now know they can actually effing do something, and their resume goes from the bottom to the top. And I give you an
right.
example. So one of my students here recently, from a few years back, he's just now graduating, and I will say encompassing all the attributes of a young person from school to ability to drive to just figuring it out. He's the best I ever had.
Yeah,
Can't get a job. All the hiring freezes and stuff out there in engineering and aerospace and military contracting and such just effed in the last 6 months or a year. Just completely effed. Wrong time. And so he's legitimately working as a manager at an Aldi's grocery store,
yeah,
which is just a terrible waste.
yeah,
And I frankly wanted to hire him and coax him back up to Ohio to build prototype cars with me with the Omega car. But I was like, I think I can help this dude out. And he'd love to work for an aerospace company. And because of my YouTube channel, I had people watching, somebody watching at Lockheed Martin. And I was talking to him about it. He's like, dude, I've got access to see jobs that are open that are only internal and not to the public. And I'm
mm,
like, can I give you this student's contact and all? He's the best I ever had, X, Y, and Z. Here's why. So he did. And long story short, with no jobs, within a month he had 2 interviews with Lockheed Martin, 15 minutes from his house. And they said that even if we like somebody, it's 3 weeks before HR will even get back to you. The next day after his interview, he has a call from Lockheed Martin. He didn't expect. The guy said, "Hi, this is so and so from Lockheed Martin. I was just calling to see if you had an opportunity to review the job offer that we sent you an email the next day because of Genius Garage."
that's second
So,
off.
um, along the way, though, coming back to your point relating to
Mm,
what
mm,
did I see in terms of what they expect? You see, higher education in America, university and um, you know, what is it? University and colleges, they're making young people insanely arrogant. And the reason
mm,
they're doing that is because they're indoctrinating them into believe that that piece of paper and the experience and the grade is going to get you a job when it's effing not. That's
mm,
not what does it. And the reason
mm,
they like it is because it's a perfect money farm to, have federal student loans you can't default on. It's the only loan that you can't default on. You give a 17-year-old kid with no anything, no business plan, nothing. So they go get $100,000 in debt for a liberal arts degree, and they're effed. And they're just forever slaves that'll never do anything for society or ever take a risk or build a business or an invention because of that. We're just destroying the future. Um, and what I've seen is, so these young people think they know how to do things so they can engineer when they've never even turned a wrench. They never even put their hands on a machine.
Mm,
And that's the reason why Genius Garage is so successful, because not only do I find the ones that can really actually do something, of course they got the degree, but big deal, so does everybody else. Then
that's
they've
right.
done something high end that actually works.
That's right.
Um, and so I've learned a lot from mentoring better part of 100 really amazing young people over the last 11 years. I haven't gotten paid. I got 2 lifetime achievement awards from 2 separate presidential administrations that doesn't keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Um, but it matters, and also on the journey to create Genius Garage and basically fix what's wrong with the American educational system and understand the whole brokenness of our educational system and how that ties into, America in terms of economics, et cetera. You learn a
Mhm.
lot about what's broken with society real
Yes,
quick,
you do.
as well as doing the Omega car, the environmentally friendly recyclable car that has a lower carbon footprint on diesel than an EV, and it's just
Yeah.
as fast as a Tesla and gets over 100 miles a gallon. Looks good. You do those 2 things with your life over 10 years, you're going to find out everything that's wrong with society, and then you're going to have to be pretty even killed and strong of a character not to go crazy when you see
Not to
everything at your
lose your mind
fingertips.
when you start to understand those things. You start
Oh
to see
yeah.
those patterns. Yeah, not to let yourself get bummed out from it. Dude, I love that so much. And I want to talk because you mentioned a writing assignment in there too, and I'm interested to hear what
Oh
that is.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
said right there, like so Lockheed Martin was a client of mine for a while as I was speaking, and it was a fascinating thing for me. So I came from California, was in the Bay Area for quite a while, and built a lot of campuses in California before we moved out here to the East Coast to this farm.
Cool. Okay.
I was at Stanford for a while, and we had this weird nepotism sort of thing going on. It was very fast. So I worked at Stanford. My wife was at Stanford. Her parents were both at Stanford. So we had this kind of big Stanford
Oh,
part
okay.
of our family, and then on my wife's side, there was a huge Lockheed Martin component too. So there was all kinds of folks from her family that worked for Lockheed Martin, and some of them extraordinarily high up. And that's not how they became a client of mine. That came through speaking. But I ended up speaking to uh, a couple of divisions for Lockheed Martin, and I was speaking to leadership, and then they were put, and it was all around leading various generations, leading young people, hiring, finding good ones, leading these young people. But then they had me speak to this uh, young leaders group. It was a bunch of the 21, 22, just graduated college. There was a couple hundred of them. So I had like 10 uh, the higher ups that I'd work with, and then 200 of these
Okay.
young leaders. And so I was working on getting them to coordinate and connect and work together better. And so it was very, very fascinating because these small amounts, they were frustrated with the 200 grads. So I got to see exactly what you were talking about is the grads
Okay.
that had to hire based on degree, and they were just super frustrated with what was not there. And then I also got to see some of the inside of like, okay, but we do have a network of these people who are really good, including some people from my wife's family who didn't
Mhm.
have the credentials. They didn't have the degrees, but they had the inside network
Aha.
and the ability. And so they were coming in without the degree, getting all of these great positions,
Yeah.
doing great work. And then you had the 200 that were, with the, I got to see all of this playing out in real time. It was a fascinating, just kind of a fascinating thing that was related to what you're saying.
That's cool. And I get that. And there's some weird, I'll say they're like cracks slash loopholes in society that we have, for instance,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and I've seen this from doing Genius Garage for over a decade and all
Yeah.
these engineering students where they go. You have to play the game a certain way, regardless of your ability.
Hmm.
And if you don't plug in the right way in the right time, you're out in the weeds. You're never getting back in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something, and I hope you will all forgive me if I sound incredibly arrogant or self-serving. Just please, just let me have this one matter of fact thing. Okay, so I built from nothing an organization ground up and have mentored over 100 of the top engineering students, both undergrad and postgraduate, from all around the country, from the best schools there is. They get hired at the best places there is. And I'm the guy teaching them and building and organizing and doing all that. I am unhireable by any of these companies because I didn't specifically go to school for engineering. I
That's
went in
right.
for industrial design. I can literally lead and create all these people and do this a high level way, and no one will touch me with a 10-foot pole. And that was even before I became somewhat political on social media.
Sure. Yep.
How broken is society?
That's exactly right.
You
That's
know,
exactly right. Ah,
just
coming
saying,
up.
just saying. I'm not saying that to try to be special. I'm just saying
That's the
there are big
reality.
problems with society. Big
Yep.
problems. Big
That's the
problems.
reality game. What is the writing assignment you kind of touched on?
Yeah. So I got away from it a little bit in the last few years, just from logistics, but the observation I've had with school, especially in, well, I'm assuming America, is that all of our writing assignments we do only shows the ability for people to compile information,
Hmm.
not to present anything with a thought, not to think, just a book report. Hey, put
Hmm.
your information together and show what it is in some way that's legible with information that you can summarize and put together and cite your works. That's it.
Hmm.
So I told them, and forgive me, I haven't even talked about this in a while, so it may take me a while. I told the students, I'm like, we're going all the way with this assignment. So what I would do, I took them to the National Museum, United States Air Force at Wright Pat, right? And I bring along like my great uncle, who flew B-52s and F4s and has all the stories for all the friends and stuff. And so we'd walk around and we'd make all this real, all these airplanes, right? And so what I did was I would give everybody, like a list of aircraft. So could be B-1, B-2, it could be particular fighter aircraft, it could be, I don't know, the Valkyrie, it could be something funky from World War II, whatever, right? And there would be a list, and you would have to pick out, one or two of these. So, and that would be the centerpiece. And the point of the writing assignment was this: I would tell them, and I'll come back to the airplanes in a second. But the point was, this is not just a book report. A book report's where you compile information to just show the teacher that you have half a brain enough that you can show your boss in the future that you can get information so they can be the smart ones. I'm like, okay, great. So that's step one. You have to be able to compile the information and present it in a way that the reader believes that you actually know the information. Step one. Now you have to speak about it in a way in your paper that the reader believes that you understand the information.
Hmm.
Um, and you have to talk about and look at the impact and everything else. So, and then eventually, all the way you have to get to, then do you have an opinion? Because a reader will never care about your opinion until one, they believe that you actually understand what you're talking about, that and you actually know it and get it. At which point, then you have to be able to look at things objectively and present something in a way that does not have you in it, and then
Hmm.
show the information. So the whole point of these aircraft in history, the students had to understand the aircraft and all the logistics that went into the engineering to construct it, but not just the engineering physically, but all the material science. So if it's SR-71 Blackbird, I wanted them to know every single damn shell company the CIA set up in the 50s around the world to get all the titanium out of Russia when they're the ones that we wanted to spy on. They were our adversary. How'd they do that? How'd they funnel the money in? How did that interact with the domestic and global politics at the time? I made the students actually look into that and understand and realize it. And then what was going on in the world internationally, politically, that led to the creation of this tool? Because we personify things like aircrafts and whatnot, and we make them seem like heroes and all. But the fact of the matter is, it's a tool. It's a tool because
Right.
we're not getting along. Why are we not getting along? What led up to that and why? And then the expenditure to make the aircraft, was it effective? Did it come out at time? Has it had any use? Did it have any ramifications afterward? And then did the aircraft actually create any kind of meaningful difference or not? And again, we did everything from B-1 to B-2 and all this different presidential administrations. So these students had look at history objectively. What was leading up to various administrations? Did it do? Did it have a point? Everything like this, compile all that. And then eventually, okay, um, was it effective? Was it not? What could have been done at the time? Could they have known any different?
Mhm.
What could you do as an individual now that you know this to make a difference? Okay, what could you do if you had a lot of money? Now, let's say you're not omnipotent, but let's say you have massive global power. What would you change things for the better? What have you learned? And then finally, what's your opinion? So those were the things that I made them think and do. And what I did is I don't know if I can curse on this show or not, but nobody
You
gives
do it.
Nobody gives a shit if you get an A. Like an
Yeah.
A and $5 will buy me a cup of coffee. Like that's nice, big deal. I've got
Yeah.
lifetime awards from 2 presidents. They hang in my basement wall. Who cares? Like
Yeah.
then keep the lights on in my nonprofit. My point is this. So, but you want to motivate the kids. You want to get them inspired a little bit.
Yeah.
So the best paper or papers, I would give a reward, right? So like one year, the kid that had the best paper that blew me out of the water, I sent him to Germany to get to crew a car and help at the Nürburgring and a vintage thing and just have fun doing that so he gets experience. Another year, I took the 2 kids flying on a B-17 as the word. So that's what we did. We're flying on a B-17. Time we go flying in, 1930s biplanes and stuff. So that's what I did. That inspires them. And then they all get to be part of something cool, but like actual rewards.
Yeah.
Really, like an A is going to motivate anybody with a brain. Anybody with a big brain is going to do the least amount of effort they can in normal school, the least amount of effort to pass and do good enough to keep going, and then learn the things they actually want to along the way. That's
Right.
why the biggest entrepreneurs and the
Game.
most successful people are the ones that get C's.
Yeah. Yep. That's the game. God bless it. It's so
I
good.
don't know
The
if I
only
answered your question. I got on a big old
Dude, it's
tangent
so
there.
good. And it's the experience that we see over and over and over again, building these things. We'll lay things out like that and we'll go, nobody cares about the A, but the parents are like, some of them are like, but I do. Like that's it. Cause that to me is how I know they're learning. We lay out
Yeah.
exactly what you just said, man. That real education versus schooling and putting some real rewards on the back end and inspiring, like not just inspiring them to go for the reward, but inspiring them to get back to that factory setting of wonder and seeing that things are
Yes.
connected, right? It's that wonder that it is a factory setting, dude. And
Dude, yeah.
we're reminding them of that.
Well, and on that note, if I may add this to what you're saying, I learned this. And so in the car world, classic, let's say pre-war cars here, right?
Yeah.
All the generations of like stuff like that or vintage racing, like 1950s or 60s cars, they all cry all the time about, oh, young people don't care. They don't care. Nobody cares. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to care about our cars. They do that all the time. There's 2 things I learned. One was a hard truth. One was a nice truth because now I know how to fix it. The the nice thing is the reason old people care about cars like that is because it mattered to their lives when they were young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. If you want young people to care about anything, it has to matter to their lives when they're young. So if old
Mhm.
people aren't sharing something like that with young people in a way that they like it or matter to their lives, they're not going to care. And you
That's
can't
right.
expect them to,
That's right.
beyond some esoteric historic thing. Some kids see things in video games, so that gets them interested car wise. But the other thing I learned is the older people that cry about nobody cares in vintage racing or old cares, they're also not doing anything about it.
That's right.
Them crying about that nobody cares is a way for them to slough off responsibility and make it
Uh-huh.
about them. When in fact, the people that are crying about it the most, they're the ones that don't do jack squat. And I've
That's right.
learned that from doing a nonprofit because they don't care about it. They put no effort in and they just want to cry it so they feel special. That's what
Mhm.
that actually is telling. I'm not trying to pick a fight, but it's true. That's what I've
Yep.
observed over a decade, you know?
That's exactly right, man.
Um,
Uh,
you just have to make things matter to young people's lives. That's why flying in a B-17, damn, man, that's cool, whether you're into history or not. But if they feel it and they're like, oh my God, that radial engine, oh my God, there's nothing here. They stick their head out in the airstream. They're up in the nose, like, 300-foot altitude over a railroad, junction. They're like, oh my God, this is just like World War II. Maybe I need to look into that. This is insane. You know
dude,
what I mean?
so
That
good.
kind of
That's such
works.
Brother, and that is such good advice for educators. Doesn't matter even if you're stuck in the conveyor belt program. Like it's such good advice for educators to go along and co-create along with quit with the kids aren't motive. Cool. Let's go co-create something together. And by the way, that
Dude.
transfers over to parenting too. Like that's one of the best ways to get your kids to get fired up. Go co-create. We get to build this farm together. We get to build these
Yep.
businesses together. We get to do this together. Go co-create and help co-inspire.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is we become completely risk adverse.
Yes, sir.
In the last 30,
Yeah.
40 years. It's insane. Oh, we got to kill shop class. Timmy might get hurt when that was about the most valuable thing you do all day. Home ec, same
100%.
thing too. Now we have kids that can't do anything in normal life. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? Nobody takes them on field trips. They don't go out. Just stay in the classroom where you won't get hurt. Memorize this crap. Go through the system. Nobody cares. Nobody's
Right.
doing anything about it. Nobody has a pair, metaphorically speaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take that crap
Yeah,
anymore.
man.
Well, I haven't been taking that crap for a long
Haven't been
time.
taking it. Good. That's exactly
It's
right. And
true, you know?
that's another one of those secrets, by the way. You don't have to actually take anything. You can go decide to build the life that you want to build. You don't actually have to ask permission for it. And that's another mindset
Yeah, as an
right?
adult, you
Like
can just do things.
you can just do it if you would like to do it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but
which
it,
again, product of the school system, partially.
it is sad though, because I think that as people like you or I do our own journey through life, making things better, we start to very easily see what's wrong.
Yeah.
You can even get people to understand it, but you can't change things. And
Yeah.
that's what really bothers us.
Yeah.
And we can hit on this at another time. I don't want to Shanghai your topic of conversation right now, but I've come to kind of an epiphany in the last week. You want me to say it?
Yeah. Talk about it.
It might be a little negative, but in a sense, the negativity gives me an actionable plan, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So
Understood.
politics, right? I'm not going to dive into it too much right now, but I would say in the last few weeks, I have become very disenchanted.
Yeah.
Um, and we're never going to change this system. So I think the thing to do is to know how to beat the system.
Hmm.
So I think for people out there that actually benevolently driven to hypothetically to run for office, how do you do things that allows people to not get screwed and trapped by the system? Because you're not going to change it.
Hmm.
I think that's the way to get in there and infiltrate change. I think that's the way to do it, because then you're going to start saving people and direct them in the right way. And then by virtue of doing that, it's kind of like, in a sense, I'll give you an example, like a tree, in a sense, is the perfect, and a tree growing is the flawless engineering practice, because a tree will always grow to find its best like homeostasis of its roots, to find water and light and find that no matter its environment, no matter like if there's a brick wall here or other trees, it's always going to look for that. It's always going to
Yeah.
try to find the perfect thing. But if you set up politics, understand you can't change the system, but you do things for people to get them around it. Like for instance, college student loans you can't default on, right?
Yeah.
You're effed, especially if you go
Yeah.
into something like liberal arts. There's no real jobs. All you
Yeah.
did is sell yourself into indentured servitude. You'll never get out of it. You don't have anything. And guess what? You're probably going to become politically radical. All right, let's create a law that says all universities have to disclose. We'll make a scale and a percentage. How many jobs actually exist for this degree? How much it costs? And what will happen? Where will your projection be in your socioeconomic class in
Mm-hmm.
life?
Mm-hmm.
You do that, that's like a Surgeon General's disclaimer for smoking in the 90s. Start doing things like that, because you're not going to get rid of the student loans you can't default on. There's too much money for it. And all these universities are sitting on billions of dollars to where the basic investment they could offer free ride to everybody there that goes there, but doesn't, because the
Mm-hmm.
universities are no longer in the best interest of the nation or people or the future. So head them off at the pass.
Mm-hmm.
Do that sort of thing. Understand it's not going to change and work that. So that's my kind of like
I like it, man. Yeah.
epiphany, and I'm working on this in my mind of how to understand if things are really bad, what can we actually do to get them to steer the right direction? Does that make sense?
Dude, it's everything that we do. It's so you're describing taking a look at something, taking a look at a scenario that you can't necessarily change, and instead of understanding that you can't change anything, well, shit, I guess that sucks, and I get no. Okay, how am I subverting this system and creating what I want to create anyways? And how do I show other people how to do that too? How do I make the change? Like it's that.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's what when we talk about sovereignty, when we talk about freedom, that's exactly what we are talking about is to go, okay, cool. What can you control? What can you not? Do what you can, carve out your own niche, and then if you can bring other people along and get them to understand that too, everybody wins. All right, that's
Yeah,
exactly
and I just came up with an analogy that's
that was
less
I would
dark
agree.
or less like military humor in the shop. So it's kind of like this. So something like I just mentioned about doing something like that. Use the David and Goliath analogy.
Yeah,
Goliath was a massive
yeah,
monster of a man, right? And David was powerful with a sling. It's a powerful little weapon. One rock, well placed. You know what I mean?
yep, yep,
Be the sling, be the
yep.
rock. You know?
That's yeah. God, it's so freaking good. Gentlemen, I'll let you guys jump. You guys jump in, get the hands up at any point. I'll bring you guys in for a little bit of Q&A too. Um, dude, you built a Batmobile. Not to just
Yes.
completely like go off, but like you
Yeah.
built a
It was
Batmobile.
powered by a ex-military drone anti-submarine helicopter turboshaft engine, like it wasn't fiction.
Dude,
And it worked. Like it driving around. I roasted marshmallows on the exhaust with a fencing
God,
rapier.
that's so freaking rad.
It's
So I
fun.
mean that to me it speaks because I know we started because we were talking about kind of wonder and curiosity and kind of
Yeah.
fueling that again because this in all the solutions that you are talking about and I'm very much in line with this. We're not going to change the system. So what are the solutions? What are the tree analogy is brilliant. I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And so but maintaining that curiosity, that wonder, I think is a precursor for being able to see those solutions. I think when we
Well, and
eliminate that wonder, we start to go, well, this is the system, and so I've got to play by these rules, right?
yes,
And
yes.
building something like that, I think, I don't know, man. I think that's a spark of kind of
One other small thing that I think even that fits well with making fiction reality, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
custom car building. Something I did that I think even fits with your analogy even better, but is much less well known than I did.
yeah.
But back, oh God, 6 years ago or something, I built what is the only full-scale flying accurate model of a pterosaur of the Quetzalcoatlus northropi, the last
That's
largest flying pterosaur of the Cretaceous age. It's a 38-foot wingspan, flexible wing membranes, and I built the whole thing to the most accurate possible understanding of a fossil record right now. But to do that, with mine, I had to do all the engineering and simulation basically mentally to have flexible wing membranes because building an aircraft with a rigid structure is much simpler. But to build flexible wing membranes like would be in an animal is much more difficult. And then you have to
yeah,
look and see what all that is. So, and I towed that behind my, my big turbo diesel dually to a friend's farm to fly it outside of ground effect there. It's really cool and tethered. So it's kind of wild because you're wrangling something the size of a medium aircraft.
yeah.
It's just a lot of fun, but it was adventure engineering. So that 38-foot wingspan pterosaur hangs from the ceiling in my shop right now. So if you ever see it, that's what it is. But that was something really wondrous for me. And another big reason that I was excited to do it, it's the childhood wonder. That's the kind of genius of taking something that you can't see, that was an
Yeah.
actual organism and fossils, and then reading everything and doing it. But also because that was the year we were building the Sopwith Camel biplane with Genus Garage, and I had another team of students doing race cars, and I was mentoring other students with automotive design. And these engineers that are at a Midwestern little university and whatnot, that are building a biplane, they're already inspired, but they think I'm crazy. I'm
Yeah.
the kooky goofball building the pterosaur. And then
Yeah.
you get one student to believe in and go, this is great. And then another. And then you get them all to be inspired to see what's possible. So I also did that to boldly spark in my students in engineering to really think and learn and dream in a constructive way. Um, there's one other thing I was going to mention about that, but yeah, in terms of the fixed wing membranes, as silly as it is, after I did that, I got into sailboat racing. And if you have a young engineer that can work on his own car and fix clutches and stuff and is into sailboat racing, oh my God, they're the most valuable engineers to hire. Because if you sailboat race, you have to engineer something on the fly all the time in a dangerous, adventurous wind tunnel that is continuously changing, read the water, read the air in a fluid dynamic and race it and maintain all the equipment. In a sense, there's nothing smarter for an engineer or aerospace engineer to do than be a good sailboat racer. And the things
Huh.
that I would have learned from that, had I done that before I built my pterosaur, would have
Yeah.
been tremendous. So hope to build another one today. And I'm talking too long.
Not at
Forgive
all.
me.
That's so did no, not at all. That's freaking awesome. That's fascinating. And this is one area when you're talking about engineering and what you do. That is one area that I'm woefully ignorant, inspired by, but woefully ignorant. So that to me is, I think that's fascinating, super interesting. What the hell do you do with a dinosaur after you build it? What?
Fly it. Hang it on
Yeah,
the ceiling. Flex.
dude.
Actually, it's funny. The Smithsonian, I guess, was interested in it for a hot minute back when, and then kind of vanished. And then
Okay.
I'm like, you know what? I don't mind. I'm happy to keep it sit on the ceiling. More people see it on my YouTube channel than would if they went to the Smithsonian. I don't mean that as a dig, but like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
serves a good purpose there. But anywho, yeah, man. I'm sorry I
That's
took
freaking.
away the floor. It's
No,
your
that's
show.
freaking awesome, dude. No, that's so cool, so rad. What's the like? What pushback do you get? So I'm sitting here listening to you,
This
and,
will be
and
the fun one.
I see so many parallels between what you're saying, what we talk about often, what we put, what the kind of the circle that we run in. Again, I think there's a lot of similarities and crossover there. So I'm believing that the pushback that you get is probably similar to what we hear quite often. But what do you get the most? Like, what do you
In
get?
life in general with
Just
business,
kind of
or just
maybe with
we
the
just
work,
get
maybe with the work here, because I think there's probably something with the work you're
I'm ready. I can
doing.
just start bullet pointing it. You
Well,
ready?
I'm sure like between that, like calling out, like questioning credentials, calling out mediocrity and culture, right? Like I think you probably get it from
Speaking
a
out
few
on
different
social media
areas.
on all
Yeah,
kinds
I'm
of
sure you get it in
topics, doing
a
kooky things,
100%.
not being understood, people seeing me in a
Thinking
Lamborghini and
you're
think I'm like
crazy.
a rich playboy, and then building a pterosaur. But how did he build that car? It must be fake. What is he doing with these students? Is this a scam? Like they don't understand.
Ah,
Okay. And they never will because
ah.
they're idiots. Okay. They don't think. I'm just going to say that. Like, not to be mean, but let's be honest. All right. So pushback. Pushback I get is all due to this of Casey's laws. Like I have three laws and I forget them half the time. But one of them is people judge others from their own experiences and standards.
Mhm.
So any of us, if we're observing the world and we see people's actions, choices, things going on, we look at ourselves in our base. Who are we? What do we do? And what do we believe in this is going on? Right. So one horrific lesson I had with doing Genius Garage early on was why is a 30 something year old like building a nonprofit to get college students to build a race car together, go racing? Is this a scam to go racing for free? So I'd have all these old guys doing that, and it pissed me off because like I'm killing myself doing this. I am not getting paid. It is not worth it. Like, let's say it was a scam to go drive a race car once or twice a year. It's
Yeah.
a bad scam, and I'm the one getting scammed because I could just go work and
So
pay for
true.
this on my own for
So
less.
true. So true.
So that was an annoying thing, but that was a lesson that told me something about those people. And the lesson is because that's the angle they're looking for.
Hmm.
They would be looking for.
True
Okay.
story.
So that would be a pushback. And but oftentimes the pushback is more telling of the other person versus you, if you're being honest and true. If you look at pushback in something like the pterosaur, there's no pushback. The public thinks it's cool. It's esoteric and weird and kind of irrelevant to industry at all, unless a sailboat company wants to sponsor it for their sales or something.
Mm.
Um, but academia isn't going to care or write about it or want it, or the Smithsonian University, because I'm not a paleontologist.
Yeah.
I'm not an aerospace engineer that they can tout. I'm a kooky YouTubing car guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't want a kooky YouTubing car guy showing up all of our scientists that have been researching their whole lives. No offense, like I don't mean to be arrogant, but have they done that? No.
Yeah. That's right.
So they're
You
not
don't
going
have
to
the
touch it.
credential. You don't have the
They're
credential.
not going to touch it. The automotive world, the collector car world, there's lots of centimillionaires and billionaires. They obviously should be donating to Genius Garage because I make vintage racing and old cars matter to society. And they're the ones that are CEOs of the big companies that would hire these students, but they don't support it. They'll support their own things because their own tax write-offs are usually tax dodges. There are
Mm.
big museums for classic car collections. And there's one out in the West Coast, and I'll just say that they did over $100 million renovation for classic cars because it's all about education. $100 million renovation plus. Elon Musk started SpaceX with less money, and you guys have a big car collection. And your teaching you did to be a 501c3 is you have some kids come by and maybe you make some models out of toilet paper tubes and such. Yeah, go screw yourself. That's a tax dodge. So the other thing I learned is the fact that if you actually do a legitimate educational nonprofit for the
Mhm.
right reasons, you're going to learn that most of them are BS tax dodge and ways to leverage it and figure it out in the world that actually works. And they don't want you to succeed because if you succeed, it'll be obvious that you shine a light on their shadow
Right.
and the
I like
cockroaches will
it.
scatter or try to attack you. So that's something else I learned.
Yeah.
I mean, business is easy. If you have a good product and you want to build something, no problem. People want to invest in it. If it's really good, you got to keep them in arm's length with like my watch company. But for instance, with the Omega car I did, which you may have recently, that was kind of the big subject on the Tucker Carlson interview. We talked about on Andy Fischel and all that.
Yeah.
You know, I did this. I built that car over 10 years ago because when I first started paying attention to politics in the late 2000s, I thought Obama was full of crap when he was running for office. He said he'd help Detroit retool. So the energy fuel efficient cars of tomorrow will be built here. Yeah, that's a setup because you guys were pushing a leftist mandate for EV mandates that doesn't work. But I knew we were going the wrong way and I knew something better was possible. So I set out to build this car and I called it on video over a decade ago. It will get over 100 miles a gallon. It will do 0 to 60 under 5 seconds. I want to do a sustainably recyclable, mass producible manufacturing technique. And I'm building this prototype that is reflective of a number of different ways to produce cars. It's going to be internal combustion because people understand miles to gallon more they do a kilowatt hour. And when I finally tested it, the only reason I did it is because last year was an election year, was so pivotal. It was so insane, the two choices we had. Either electric mandates that destroy all kind of innovation because it's government regulation of industry to destroy all innovation for the betterment of the future. Or we can at least get rid of that, right? So obviously, I wanted to speak out. I had to get the numbers. Well, the first time out with no tuning and no aerodynamic fairings, just driving through the countryside with stop signs and turns and stuff, was 104.72 miles per gallon on old diesel.
Man.
And then the next day, I did 0 to 60 testing of it with proper gauges and accelerometers and GPS in it. With it, a 93 Dodge Viper RT10, a 2019 Corvette Grand Sport, my neighbor's Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive with a full charge. It beat the Viper by 0.2 of a second and exactly matched the Grand Sport Corvette and the Tesla with a full charge. And then the Tesla got slower as the charge wore down. So I did the math after that the next day, because it's not hard to get the numbers on what's the carbon footprint of burning a gallon of diesel. Long story short, my car on straight diesel has a lower carbon footprint per mile than an EV charged at home national average, is cheaper to run, is more sustainable to cycle, has a way lower carbon footprint than a normal car in manufacturing, let alone an EV, which is terrible. Yet they don't care. The media won't announce on it because it's outside the narrative. No, Elon's not going to invest in it. He doesn't give a crap. It upends everything he does. No, I'm not worried about big oil because they should like what I'm doing. But now, with people that are investors and stuff coming to me, I get two things. I get one, people that have no idea the scope of this, that are like, you should start a kit car business. I'm like, no, dude, no. That's just you might as well just not. I would rather not than do that. You're just ruining the future. Wrong path. And then you get people that are acting like they want to buy a car or do it in big game, and they can talk a big game, and their area code isn't a suspicious area code. That think they're just going to get information out of me because I did just one thing magic. Well, there isn't just one thing magic that I did. There's 100. And then I think they just find out that I'm just a really good engineer and can look at it and they're like, oh crap, there's nothing I can exploit out of this guy because he's just really good at engineering and leading. And then so I found out recently, it's actually easy to get hundreds of millions of dollars of an investment and even billions, but as long as there's no risk. And I told one, they were doing this long song and dance to get me to give them a one-pager and go along with it. I'm like, hold on. They want other people to be in to take the risk. And that was all this big game to make it me not think. And I'm like, respectfully, no. Like, great. I don't care how much you could hypothetically invest in anything. But if I have to bring in other people to take the risk before them, what's the point? I'll just take this. We'll go build something big. And hey, if we ever need something, maybe we'll talk to you. Like and I was being diplomatic. I said our directions align, but our needs do not. So, and I'm going to be honest, that pisses me off. And I even made a post about this because it doesn't single anyone out. But the thing that I can't respect about the billionaire investor class is if you can't take any risk, give me a break. I'm out here swimming with sharks at night on a daily basis, creating miracles and actual results. And I don't care. And I had sold the car and I actually had like $1,000 in cash in my wallet because I was going to deposit it. And I told the guys I was talking to, I got on and they asked me like, well, what would you like? Or what would you need? Or what would make you happy? And I'm like, permission to speak freely like I would to a military buddy or in my shop. Is that okay? Like, I mean, nothing negative, this is not attack, but let me just talk shop like I would. And I said, you know what I'd like is for people to grow a pair of fucking balls. I said, I pulled it out of my, I'm like, here's $1,000. I'm not worth hardly anything, but I will burn that money tomorrow if there's a worthwhile risk to take to build something for a nonprofit or a car company and all. And if you look at the equivalent, and we're talking about a big investor class that won't risk anything, I don't have any respect for that. Give me a break. And then, and respectfully, with the nature of the I'm getting on a tangent here. Please just
I
stop
love
me if
it,
it's
dude.
too much.
You're good. You're going.
The nature of our insanely polarized politics, I'm sorry, but we are now at a point in America where both sides suck. They both have tragically broken things about both of them. Tragically. And, I'm here sitting like killing myself. And this is, I guess I am complaining. I'm putting it out there. It's a little emotion to emphasize that I'm not complaining. I want you guys to feel it. I want you to feel it because I'm still moving forward no matter what. So I'm out here. I killed myself for over a decade building a legitimate nonprofit that has actual results that matter. And there's ways for everybody to care. Nobody cares. I became internet famous just to get exposure for that because the media wouldn't even talk about it, even though we're doing big things. Like, damn, man, I built a car that has a lower carbon footprint than an EV, that's mass producible, that's cheap and affordable, that is great internationally, that oil would like. Nobody cares. There's no governmental help. There's nothing backing any of this to make anything good happen. Like Trump acts like he cares about it. He doesn't. Like the left doesn't care. The left cares about the environment all the time. It's just a matter of control. It's just a way to screw us all. Like, and I'm so annoyed about it. That's why I came about it earlier on. And I also have a bit of a sinus infection, so my voice goes away and I'm
Oh,
like,
you're good.
look too red. It's that. I'm actually not that mad. I'm just, this is how you get fired up to do something. You know what I mean? When you're
Yeah.
inspired. Yeah. So the thing that drives me bonkers is now it's like, there's not gonna be any change. What's the future? Like I've done it right, man. Like I've done everything. Every side says they want everything we want, and there's nothing here for it. What do I have to do? Spend the next 20 years of my life pulling more miracles out of my ass to become a billionaire just to fund it to do what I should have done back then because nobody would? Like, fight me. Like, we're going for it. And that's why I came up with the thing with like, if we know the system's not going to change and politics is screwed, then we should just get in there and figure out how to build these roadblocks to be, David's sling to hit it right in a point to where people wake up and see it and then don't change the system. Just let everybody know the system's completely screwed because what'll happen is it's like the what's left. It's still how a garden grows. You have to know how to tend to garden over time. And now I think that's the only thing left to do. And I think what happens is somebody like me that truly gets there, or like a guy, maybe even like Andy Frischel there, he's built big, awesome businesses. He's podcasting, he's spreading good messages. But like, when does it come time where there has to be action? There has to be action. Not like violent action or legal action, but what do we do to make something actually happen? Because it's not enough just to make people awake and seeing it. Somebody actually has to lead and make something happen that people can do something with. Okay, I should stop right now. That's my tangent, man. That's the fire that I got right now from all this.
I want to, you coming straight out of our freaking, I want to hug you. I want to hug
Okay,
you.
good, because I feel
No, I
minorly
want to
bad.
hug
Like
you.
I'm not
And
crazy. Like I'm not complaining. Maybe I
well,
am, but I'm
maybe,
doing something.
and maybe you are, and maybe, but it's just our kind of crazy. I don't know. I want to hug
Well,
you.
and part of it is this. Let me throw one other
Yeah.
detail. I'll make it short. They don't want somebody like me to succeed at any of these things. And there's like a little poem or a speech, and it's a little dark, so I don't share it. But it's like the man who just wanted to be left alone. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know
And
what
you
you're
got the man in the arena behind you, which I've been living my whole life, man. That excerpt there. Screw the critics. You know what I mean? Screw the algorithms that just want to tear us apart, which is what it is. Okay, I know exactly how it's all addicted us and programmed and destroyed everything all the way to politics. The point is the man who just wanted to be left alone. Like I've done it right. I thought I built everything right. Both political sides say they want to do and do nothing about. Like I've done everything right and there's no traction. There's nowhere to go. So if you flip over every rock in society and done everything right, even if you have a nice life, you look and go around, go, we're screwed and there's no way forward. That's when you go, I'm ready to fight. I don't care the risk in politics. And dear God, I've been dabbling around politics and learning enough in the last few years around it. I know how deep and dark that rabbit hole goes. And the man who left, it's like when you cross a certain line is the man who just wanted to be left alone. Is like if you come out in politics, you have to realize your entire life is over. Everything is done, and it's going to be the most vicious. It's war. It's absolute horror war. And I'm at that point where I need to figure out how to apply myself, and I'm ready for constructive war if need be. Is that an okay place to end? I hope I don't sound like a loon right now.
No, you sound like exactly what we're doing. I'm sitting here writing down these things. I know exactly what you're talking about on the man who wants to be left alone and what we're building. Part of the way you describe that and the way you describe kind of playing this game, because we understand the left, the right, then we are building something that oftentimes looks like something else. I don't know. I don't know a better way to put it. So it can look like sometimes it looks like coaching, sometimes it looks like school, sometimes it doesn't look, and all of those things are very much it. But we're building it's a fight back in a way that allows us to fight and make progress because it doesn't trigger something else. I don't know. I feel like we're aligned
I
on
think
so.
I know where you're going with that. And you're being very delicately diplomatic
Yep.
in terms of all the absurdities. And along that line, I think this touches on it. One thing I've noticed that drives me bonkers is, let's say you're someone like me a few years ago that has talent, that's done plans, that can speak, that can lead, that can build, that can, all the good things, right? Where does someone like that go or plug in to actually affect positive change in society? If you try to go into politics at the ground level, kiss your butt goodbye. You need to
Mm,
have an angle to come in at a high enough level to do it, as with
mhm.
anything. And that's something that scares me because I've mentored hundreds of amazing young people, but where
Mm.
can they actually plug
Where-
themselves into anything that's
Yep.
creating of a bigger whole to affect positive change? That's also been my wonderment right now.
It is 100%. It's I mean, with
Can
our
also shut up and let people take questions. Man, I just
no
totally
man, no,
Shanghai the
this
floor.
is you're saying, and Mikey T, I saw that you had a hand up, but I know you had to jump off there. If you want to jump in, man, go ahead, gentlemen. If you got some questions, jump in. But dude, you are speaking so much of our language, and you're talking about these young folks, and we've got our young men's and young women's mentorship program, and I look ahead for my own kids and go, okay, where are they going to plug in, and who are they going to plug in with? And it's like, because I don't know,
Well, I,
let's build what we can build to make sure that there is I mean, I'm all for arranged marriages at this point. Like, let's let's create exactly what we want them to plug into.
yeah, and I'll give an example. Like right now, okay, my wife and I have a home. It's a
Yeah,
nice home,
yeah,
not crazy, but it's nice. I have toys mostly because I'm have my tool bench right here and I can fix all that stuff. And I've worked hard. And we have a child. It's a little late. I'm in my early 40s, but I
yeah,
feel like I'm like the last guy that's going to be able to get to do that
yeah,
unless miracles happen for young
yeah,
people.
yeah.
So what am I going to do? Sit back and ride my stupid motorcycle and
So
play this
what?
and build my watch company, make a little and forget about it while I
Right.
watch everybody get screwed, while I watch like nothing but apartment complexes built because nobody can buy it, while I watch the slow decay of nobody owns anything and insurance companies and totalitarian like authoritarian like electric cars and make it so we can't even enjoy our cars. So another 30 years, I can't even do that. And I did nothing to save the future for young people at all. Uh-uh.
Mhm.
Let's
Yeah,
fight now,
that's right,
you
brother.
know?
Right.
Okay.
Man, so what? No, dude, so good. So what is the next focus for you? Like, what is the okay? So my energy is going to go into this because you're talking about all
I'm
the
going to run straight toward the fire. Anybody wants me on a podcast or talk or team up with, let's go. I'll run straight toward the fire. Like literally a year ago, I was on the phone. I was wearing like not working clothes. I think I had my moccasins on, and my wife runs out and she yells, "The house is on fire." And I looked around, dropped my phone, and I sprinted straight toward down the sidewalk and over, jump around, see if I could help out because I knew I'd beat the fire department. There was a big fire already. So much so that my neighbor across the street saw me sprinting and heard pop and smoke, and he ran at his house to get his AR because he thought shit was going down.
yeah,
But what I'm saying is like that's a literal translation. But right now, with talking about things, social politics, leading,
yeah,
it is time right now for men like me and you to find the way to do it and apply whatever it is and run straight toward the fire. Not like a lunatic, not going off half cock, but straight
right.
toward the damn fire. Because if we don't, there's no future left. There's no, not none, not well, not the way it is right now. That's
Yep.
that's where I'm at.
Nope, couldn't agree more, man. So I'm gonna take these guys through a debrief today, and we're gonna talk through all these things. I want to continue this conversation, man, because I want to talk about what we are building, what you are building, how we support you best, and what that looks like to team up in this
Cool.
fire. And
I dig.
I'm so I'm so right there with you. Is there anything that, yeah, dude, the podcast side, getting the show out, we've got a lot of initiatives that I'm gonna shoot you some messages off here, and I want to, but I want to
One
make it,
other small note, just like one sentence.
yeah,
It's also important. It's imperative to run to the fire right now because we have to beat AI.
that
AI is on the way, and it's on the wrong side. Like
it is such a fascinating thing, man.
the
Like
battle is now. Go.
that is such a fascinating thing. And that's so, like, with these campuses we are building, this has been a topic of conversation here, especially for these last couple of months, man, is like, what does that mean? What does that look like when it comes to education, when it comes to the world that our young people, that our kids are growing up into, those of us that are running towards the fire, what is the foundation that we are laying for them? Because we're not, it's another thing, like it's another thing that we're not stopping the onset of it. So what does that look like for us as parents, as educators, as builders, as creators that don't want to sit in this left-right narrative? Like, what does that look like with AI?
We have to unplug our kids as much as possible. We
Oh
have to
my
get them.
goodness.
We have to make them grow up like the '80s as much as possible. The hell
Mm,
away from cell phones and everything. What's one? The social media is so profoundly addictive and programming. AI is going to make it vastly more exponentially. I don't see any way around it other than that. There's too many scenarios of where AI will go, what it'll be. The stuff in the big beautiful bill right now with Palantir and unregulated AI for 10 years. I
Mm.
know why he's doing it because other countries are, but we're creating the most dangerous authoritarian sci-fi surveillance state to program people I've ever seen in my life. And let's just assume right now in a happy-go-lucky unicorn and lollipop world, Donald Trump is a perfect man that has all of our normal people's best interests in mind. Everybody there, great. I have 4 years, he's going to be out, and somebody else is going to be in. So let's pretend it's somebody else that doesn't have our best interests in mind. Guess what? They're going to have that same power in the United States government. So we really have to figure this out right effing now because it's coming no matter what.
Hmm. Holy hell. Brother, yeah, Wayne, dude, that
Is
is
that
the,
okay? I said it that way. Is that
that's what,
fair?
dude, that's your kidding. And
I
Wayne
know
put
it's
it
a
in
little, I hope
dude,
that's diplomatic for like, you know, mechanic shop talk or military dudes. You know what I mean?
brother, that is it. So Wayne says, once men turn their thinking over to machines in the hope that this would set them free, but only permitted other men with machines to enslave them. Yep. Nailed
Yeah.
it. Holy
Yeah.
hell.
I'll add one other detail on this, and this is a whole big thing, so I'll make it very short. AI is in direct opposition to the soul's journey.
Mm,
People need to realize how important, I'm just going to say, the soul's journey is of their life. And AI is here to literally take that away.
mm.
Um, and people need to focus on that philosophy interpersonally because that's the key.
So fascinating, man. Holy hell. I am going to, so the last things on our side, man, I want to know where we'll do the whole where can we send everybody on that. Most important to us is how do we support you? And I say that because I want that on record publicly, knowing that I'm also going to be
That's
reaching out
kind of you.
here after this and making sure that I want to make sure you got my cell and I want to continue the conversation, man. But I want to
Cool.
make sure we do right by you on the audience side too.
That's kind of you.
Um,
You want to hit like in terms of how support? You just want me to mention
so,
that?
so yeah, please.
I think the most powerful thing right now, like I said, in terms of running toward the fire is any opportunity that I can have to connect with somebody such as yourself or anybody out there doing podcasts, talking about it together is insanely important right now because we all have to know and talk about this. And I'm not saying that because I like, dude, I don't, if nobody knew who I was tomorrow, fine.
Understood.
I'm just here because I have to affect change. Whole reason I went on social media back when was couldn't get any publicity for the nonprofit. And right
Yep.
now, the reason I'm doing this and I'm not afraid to do things like Tucker Show or Andy Frischel and just tell the truth unabashedly is because we have to. So
Mm,
that's the biggest thing. Let's connect. Even if you know somebody or want to send it out or hey Casey, get with these people. Like, yeah, I'm here, guys. Like I'm in it to win it with y'all. The other thing, small, like Genius Garage is tough, man. Right now, me and a bunch of current and ex-military buddies, we're working on finding like funding and grants relating to various
yeah.
military branches as well as like NASA, government, et cetera, for Genius Garage because
Yeah.
some of the young people that I find that best possess the characteristics that I find get the most out of Genius Garage, and therefore Genius Garage has the most profound effect in the future, ones that had a past or current military background. So I want to focus on that with the students and young people that also have that component. And there's also, fortunately, some funding and things relating to that. So we're working on that. So if you see anything where, frankly, there's any potential of funding or anybody can help
Yeah.
out, that's huge because otherwise it's just me supporting the whole thing. And I can only do so much. I did it for 10 years and I have a kid now. So we're trying to build that. I'm really fortunate. We got a couple of buddies are ex-Rangers, got a Force Recon Marines, got a SEAL, got I'll just say a couple of stealth pilots and leave it at
Yeah.
that. Dudes in Air Force and all over being helpful with that. But if anybody sees that, that's really helpful. I believe in Genius Garage. I want that to go. Um, Other than that, man, nothing crazy. I'm building a bespoke one-off watches, mechanical watches for people right now as I'm building up my little watch company because that's something I believe I have full control over to build. I don't need investors or anybody crazy to do. I can do it in my basement. So everybody's got to have a building. You have to take responsibility for yourself and your family, no matter what, even if while you're trying to do big things. So that's how I'm taking responsibility for my own life there, but trying to make bigger things happen. Always Genius Garage, and then of course speaking engagements and doing that. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. Hell, we're already out there. Okay, I'll shut up. You guys ask questions. Come
Dude,
on, talk to me. Give me to
so
shut
good,
up.
man. So good. And I've got
I'm here, man. I'm I'm here.
I've got so many. Yeah, and guys, if you guys have anything put out there, man, before it goes, get them up there now. But on the podcast side, I got a handful of guys that I'd like to introduce you to.
Yeah, and only if you think it would be valuable to them.
And
Like
you're speaking again,
I'm not.
speaking our language, and these are guys that I want to introduce you to that are very much in line. I mean, these are good buddies, but they have great shows
Cool.
that are very much in line. Again, Andy's a
Yeah.
friend, and there's a lot of
Oh,
guys
totally.
like that we
Eh,
are like, get this out.
Well, and the other thing I always looked at is this: is no matter what you go on, sometimes like recently I've gone on some things where I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Is this going to be? I don't want to say like weird, but weird.
Yeah,
No, it always comes down to you. Who are you?
right.
They'll each draw a different energy, a different vibe, but that's for the audience. You're not going to change who you are based upon what environment you're with, but by being on different environments, you get to connect with more, and I think that's important. So
I
that's
agree.
just in terms of taking self responsibility for who are you really? Do you actually know? Like, are you confident where you're going? And that's why you get to a certain point. I think it's totally okay to put yourself out there to anything. Heck, I'll go on kooky leftist things. I don't care. Like, let's have the conversation. Bring it on. Like, I'll take the shots, man.
Yep, I'm with you, man. Amian, what's happening, brother?
Hey, good morning, sir. And Casey, thanks for being with us today, man. You're blowing my mind. I couldn't ask a question because I just wanted to sit and listen
Listen,
to you talk.
yeah,
It's probably my sinus infection
I knew
talking.
that
I'm
was
having to
it.
hang in there drinking water, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is great. You're very like-minded. Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask go back to the politics type question again.
Yes,
I have military service, and I'm very service-oriented minded, right? And I love the freedom. I want to approach something where I can have meaning and value and make a difference, right? I
of
think a lot
course.
of us feel that way. But if looking towards local government, local community, or higher, you mentioned some things about politics and how do you enter and make a difference, knowing that there's a system, knowing that there's trade-offs. You mentioned something about coming in, from a different approach or an angle. Can you expound on that again to kind of me or
Yes,
somebody else, right? Like initially it's like, oh, you got to have like a funding base. You got to have people that like, support you and build that up. And I'm like, yeah,
yes,
but there should be a message. There should be a, you know, um,
correct. Um,
values, things that, like you said, you want to make people's lives better. How would you go against or go that way?
Excellent question. To touch on your thing about military in terms of being service oriented. I think that also holds true with people that want to hold public office for the right reasons. I think that also holds true for being a good husband or wife and family person. I think that holds true if you're part of a club or you're mentoring people at school, all those things in community. So I think they're all rooted in the same good. Um, with regard to that and having a desire and need to do that, especially for service people, all friends of mine and family, that doesn't end after you're out. And there's a lot of talks we can have there. So you're looking for more meaning, looking for being part of something. And I think a place that is difficult, it's very, and I'm understating that, for ex-service people is not finding that. I think that's very, very difficult, not being part of that team, something bigger than yourselves and feeling like you matter. Civilian, I think that's what I've observed in this most difficult transition of civilian life and something I think I can be helpful with for some young people in the future. But more specifically with regard to my observations with regard to politics, there's anything from holding a county or town office or school board all the way up to the president of the United States, which let's not forget that is the highest commanding officer of even all the military branches in the U.S. as well. Um, one has to look at themselves realistically and objectively before they go down that road. In the same manner that you would as building a business. Let's talk about the business aspect. There's a lot of people that want to do something, say, hey, I'm good at being a mechanic. I want to start a shop. Okay, cool. Well, have you thought about all the bullshit? Have you thought about you got to have startup capital? Have you thought about do you have clients to actually bring in income to live on? Do you need to live? Do you need to make money for a year? Or do you got a nest egg? Does your wife or somebody else live? Is there insurance? What happens if something gets screwed up and you get sued? Is there doesn't matter if you think it's fun and you're good at it. Is it actually a good business practice that you can work and have a worthwhile business plan? If it's not, don't do it. The same holds true for politics. Um, and my opinion is this: if an individual, is the right heart and character to do it first and foremost, because we don't need any more scumbags to Jiminy Christmas. Because you're going to try to get bought no matter what. And I hate that. So they need to be steadfast in themselves as a character, integrity, etc., where they don't want anything. Fame, money, sex, who gives a crap? That's who you want first of all, but you want somebody with some actual wisdom and direction, and that's for a good betterment, smart enough to do it. That's ideal, right? Okay, let's say you got that person. Don't care how old or who they are, what sex they are, doesn't matter. Just somebody that can hold office. Okay, I like to think, what is the highest level that they could realistically have a shot for? Okay, you want to do that. Like, let's say hypothetically, if somebody could be an amazing congressman at the federal level, then why would you run for school board? Like, come on, you're the person for here. Let's get you here. But then they also have to have the connections and the positioning or enough traction, whether that's financially or maybe they have a huge outreach for people. They have a huge voice. What is your traction? What will make you that shiny thing for people to get behind and support? Because if you have no traction, you're not doing anything. I don't care if you're perfect or not. Now, the danger is when people have to go for traction, if they're not already independently wealthy, you're gonna have to get money from somewhere else. And since you can only take donations up to a certain level from individuals, you got to spend a hell of a lot of time to raise enough money for a campaign that would be effective at any given level. And that's difficult because that becomes your full-time job. So that's kind of a weird, broken system. So then you have things like PACs, depending on what level you are. Well, what is that PAC and what are they going to want at you? So that's when it becomes tremendously difficult. So I guess to answer your question more succinctly, rather than me just going on a big tangent, if you look at going in public office, please ensure you're doing it for the right reasons and you're somebody that can actually take those shots mentally, emotionally, spiritually, family, everybody's in it, that you can maintain that. Please, don't do it for the wrong reasons. Actually, can I make a little joke in there with the wrong reasons? I've thought about the possibility of running for like Congress or governor or something. Like, what would that look like? And it's a terrible job. They all are if you do it for the right reasons. Like Congress pays what, $175,000 a year, and you have on average 2 credible threats against your life and your family's life every month. It doesn't pay enough to do it for the right reason. Everybody wants to use you, screw you, set you up. It's just bad. And so of course people get into it for like start doing things to make money on the side. It's wrong. And I'm like, you know what? I joke because it's really not bad. I'm like, you know what? I thought about my one thing I would want to leverage if I was in office to make it worth it for me. It's a joke because it's not bad. I'm like, I try to hitch more rides in military jets. That's what I want to do. I don't need money or sex. I just want to go for a ride. Can I go for a ride? That's all. I'll take all the hell for that. Anyway, I don't know if that's funny, but to me,
it's just it's the
of course,
same.
if that's not cool, I won't do it. But you know what I'm saying?
That was like, it's the same reason you built a nonprofit so that you can go race cars once or twice a year. It's the same.
Give me a break. Like, no, yeah, if I want to do it, shoot, I can just go buy a ride and aircraft. But like, that was my funny joke. I hope it sounds innocent. Doesn't make me sound like a bad person though. Just want to fly in airplanes now and then. Anyway, yeah, you have to look at it objectively with yourself. You gotta temper your fight to go into it, because if you want to fight, even if it's for the right reasons, you still gotta be cool enough to be like Baron von Richthofen, the Red Baron in World War I. The guy lasted so long and had so many wins because why? He'd sit up there in the sun and look around and go, I don't think I can win that one. That's a bad scenario. I'm just going to leave and come back for one that I can win. I think I've even heard SEALs say that. What's the best way to survive? And the dude just looks at the camera, turns around and bolts. Know when to get the fuck out. Yeah. But yeah, with politics, it's like that. With business, it's like that. You have to look objectively, like, can you get in? And then how long are you going to have to be in? Can you dodge the dragons and pitfalls in there to get fall and really make a difference? And then if you win or lose, are you in a position to keep going for something better? So I think it's objectively looking at it like that. And then the other things that come into play too is maybe it's something that's not winnable. But you're out there, you're talking to people, you're saying things. And sometimes just the point of running and creating an opposition, or at least a contrary viewpoint to somebody else that's running unchecked, is very important in our society. So I hope that answers your question. I think it's just looking objectively at who you are and doing things for the right reasons and knowing what the journey and battlefield look at like, and if you're going to come out ahead, and if that's the way for you to best affect positive change with your life and your resources of yourself.
Awesome. That was great. Thank you, sir.
It was the way it looks like to me. Subject to change.
Mr. Arness.
Thank you for being here. This has been fascinating.
Cool.
I think my question it's morphed a little bit, but it's going to merge a couple of things that you've been talking about. So independent, capable, inspired, curious people. This conversation has centered around adults that are trying to achieve that. We're more centered around kids trying to achieve that. So my question originally was, I have a 13 and 11-year-old. What can I build with them? Like, you know, I'm trying to merge the two sides of you that seem to be kind of emerging. What can I build with them that brings all those together? I mean, understanding that you don't know anything about my capabilities as a human being, but then also I realize that that's scalable, right? Because many of us are trying to start affiliates. So what's a project, a program, something that we can physically build with a kid that they can see the whole progression and feel the accomplishment of creating something?
Great question. I only have one small question to ask to get it right. Are you speaking literally or metaphorically or both?
Literally. I mean,
Okay,
I
cool.
want to literally, I mean, I want a genius garage, but for not genius dads.
What age group?
My kids are 13 and 11.
Cool. Good age. Get them now. Do this now.
Right.
Don't wait another couple years. Okay, so there are things to do regardless of what the budget is, right? And excuse me. The first thing I would say is don't do something that requires you to just buy something in a store that's new. That's the first lesson. You don't need that. Okay. Let's say it's a mechanical project, right? Okay. Well, why don't you find like on eBay or antique store some junk old 1960s slot cars and restore them? You know, the motors and all, figure it out, have to learn that. It's cool. And then you get to race them when it's done. Find a way to do something cheap that maybe society or people have forgotten about that maybe is very valuable, but not to everybody else. And then do that together and learn. Be like, this is really neat. See how cool this is? Let's get this and fix it up and make it fun. They have to learn, you know, set them up to where it's the tools. You don't like hold their hand the whole way, but it's like, well, what do you think we should do on this? I think if I was going to fix this motor, how does it work? Is it it's electrical, but how does the electricity make magnets to work, you know? And you know, but you're doing that way they have to figure out, not enough to be boring, but just enough to keep it interesting, but sparking in their mind. And do it that way. But you're also teaching a lesson that you go outside of our consumer world, where you go outside of what the algorithm shoves in your face to build something cool like that. And that can be anything. You know, you could find other things. Maybe it's airplanes, maybe it's doll, you know, whatever. You know, maybe it's something like growing plants and gardening. Now that can be a little boring because it takes some time and patience. But maybe you can do something like that that requires patience over time, like building something mechanical. Maybe you're building a bonsai tree, or you're just doing a little garden in your backyard or on your terrace or balcony and growing beans and corn and stuff. And you have to learn about the pollination stuff and look at the insects and understanding that at a different level. You know, and then another thing that could be really interesting, and this is something to me right now, and I made a post a while back when I was like really frustrated, but I was being honest with people. I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do anymore because all these big things I can do, there's roadblocks without fighting. And if anybody needs me, I'm going to be building mechanical watches, um, doing amateur archaeology, and working on ball lightning and trying to replicate that. So things like that that are interesting that nobody thinks of. And I'll give you another example. May I ask what state you're in?
Alaska.
You're in Alaska. You're all in Alaska?
No, just him.
Where
So
is
we
he?
only
James, where are
let
you?
we only let one person.
What's that? Where are you from?
I'm from Alaska. I'm born and raised up here.
Okay, cool. I'm not sure up there, but let me give an example. So in Ohio, we have a tremendous amount of ancient people and basically ruins and artifacts all around our feet that nobody cares about. And the other thing I'm starting to notice is I don't think, and I'm not saying this to be overly conspiratorial or whatever. I'm just saying this matter of fact. I don't think our um, understanding of the ancient peoples of North America is super knowledgeable or accurate because I'm starting to see evidence of really old, pretty advanced stuff. Um, and that stuff's not that actually that hard to find, especially with YouTube being out there. And I think that, you know, do like a cool mechanical project with something that's not brand new that you don't have to buy, that's old, that you have to fix up and then learn. Maybe do something that relates to nature, animals, growing, and then do something that relates to a mystery that it does actually exist, looking for artifacts or finding that you can actually get out there and find it and learn about it. All those things that they're hands-on and doing and learning and seeing and have to think and feel and know that inspires them to learn more. That's my answer. But it has to be fun. Make it fun.
Yeah, man. And that what you're connecting it to right there is that fun. It's like the story part, right? The adventure part of it. That makes it that in of itself makes it fun and makes it interesting and unique. Is it something that you want to raise because, you know, something you want to raise because you love it? Is it something you want to do and raise because you want to eat it? Is it something, James, you're doing with your kids because you want to race it or you want to sell it or you want to like what is that end game too that adds that element of urgency to there, but also just kind of keeps that wonder, you know, and it makes it worth solving those problems too, where it's like, well, what do you think about this? Ah, guy, all right, let me figure this out, right? And you guys are co-creating together with some sort of theoretical end result on that too to keep that wonder alive.
You might add just a slight, don't do too hard. I don't know how competitive they are. Maybe they're not that competitive, but you can inspire just a little bit of that
Yeah.
and say, here's what I think we should do. Why don't all three of us build one of these cars and then we're done with racing? I'll see if you guys can you beat me? Make it a question, not a competitive mean thing,
Yeah.
but that'd be really cool. And you try, you know what I mean? But like with any of the things, also
Yeah.
make it a little bit of a little challenge, a little competition, inspire way. You want to see that little spark from your kids where they're like, I can beat dad, because then they'll go even further,
Mm,
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a great idea.
Oh, was something.
really good. Are you okay for one more case?
Oh, you got me. You got me.
I want to make sure you're good, man. You're awesome.
I'm good,
Thanks.
dude. I'm good.
Mr. Hughes.
Oh, the spotlight got me. Sorry about that. Hey,
I knew you could do it.
thanks for the
What's
time,
up?
Matt. Thank you as always. Similar question to Arness, and he kind of like triggered me a little bit to ask my question. So, love the conversation today. You kind of pushed me in a direction that I'm a little excited now. So, about
Cool.
5 years ago, I can't believe that I go back. And I think it was actually 5 years ago. I had a neighbor that had one of those rat rods, old school, like
Yeah.
Model A Ford, just slammed to the ground, had like all kinds of spikes and stuff going. I'm like, I love that. I need to build one of those. And I know nothing
Sure.
about building cars. I'll admit that. I'm not mechanically savvy type
There was
guy.
a time where neither did I.
Right. So you're running into the fire mindset, which I kind of have, but in this case, I haven't. And I said I was going to build that car in 10 years. It's been 5 years. I haven't picked up a wrench. So
It happens.
the cool thing about what Arness asked, and I do everything with my girls. I got a 3 and a 6-year-old daughter. My 6-year-old helps me build everything, so she's definitely going to help me build this. Now, my question for you is, where do I start? Like, I know I can go on YouTube and look up videos and all that, but push me in a direction so I can get this thing off the ground.
Totally. So here's the simplest advice. Pick something that you think you can reasonably get done in a reasonable amount of time, because it'll always take longer than you think it is. The biggest danger that everyone, including myself, we know what we can do in a perfect world and what we believe in. And the world is not that kind normally unless you're single and have literally nothing else to do and you're just that driven. So it is, I think, imperative for your children to see you finish something and that they get also that tremendous sense of reward for doing it and get to enjoy whatever it is together with you that you build. Because then if you do that, you will have instilled the value of building something and looking and thinking and seeing it through. And the danger, of course, is if you don't finish it, that you'll instill that as normal.
Yep.
So a rat rod's super cool, but maybe let that be something to come. Maybe you guys build a cool rat go-kart that's not too dangerous, because nobody wants to get impaled their kids on like rusty spikes on a go-kart. You know what I'm saying? But like go-karts are very affordable. You might be able to find one to restore. And then if you're getting into basic welding and stuff, there's not that much there to fabricate and do. So even something small for you to learn, you can really take your time and do it right and learn it. And if you mess something up, you're not out that much time or money at any given time. And then you can finish it and do it in a way that's all enjoyable for all. And maybe it's a restoration project of some old go-kart or something, even just restoring something and gently modifying it. It's so, it's crawling before you can walk and walking before, you can run, that kind of a thing. So, a dirt bike or motorcycle is good, but they're young people. So maybe that's not right. Go-kart's kind of cool. And you'll get there, man. That's how I did, slot cars, radio control cars, go-karts, old motorcycle, little British cars, bigger cars, race cars, and now I'm completely crazy.
No, it's great. It's a great answer. I never thought about, start small, probably.
Yeah, just
I get it.
take
Yeah.
a bite you can chew and swallow and enjoy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna shove that whole steak in there right now.
Yeah, that's super. It's super smart, man. I mean, that really is it. Because what he said is so powerful. The point of being able to actually complete something and seeing that, especially for that young person, getting that earlier rather than later. Because think about how bad we are as adults at the long term game and the long term gratification and all that. Like we suck at that. For the young ones as we're getting them started, man, giving them those early victories and making sure that we're actually helping to create that momentum. That's a big deal, Chris.
And that 12 years old and under is so crucial for them seeing that things finishing. They're not you or I or any adults that have seen things and have the patience to wait a year or something. You've got to keep it going at a reasonable pace, and you got to get it done. They got to see it, and they got to have fun. They have to have fun. Okay. And inspired to see it finished.
We were building a shed yesterday at home, and my daughter helped for a little bit, and she went and play with the neighbors, and then sure as shit, by the end of the day, she came home. She's like, "Daddy, did you get the shed done?" Like she wanted to know if it was done. And we got most.
Well, I mean, yesterday I had a science fiction. I felt like crap, and the sun was beating down pretty good. And I was on one of those hydraulic lifts at the front of our house doing this like a Frenchy looking roof thing over the entryway. And I had like 80s hair bands on and was like chugging water and whatnot. I was just getting it done. I had like an impact, like one hand, and the what is it? The lift would like bounce a little bit. So I was like jammed up. I was like, the neighbors have got to think this is hilarious. My wife went and picked up the little one, went and did something with the little one and came back. I'm like, I have an 80s day. Hey, sweetie, how about you get daddy a beer? I don't know. She didn't know we didn't have any, but I was just in a good mood, man. You got to have fun. Why wouldn't I have fun? Like, just enjoy it.
It's awesome.
I'm only gonna remember Casey in a cut-off sleeve Iron Maiden t-shirt for the rest of the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Iron. All right, who's the best? I mean, this is probably the most important question. Who is the 80s hairband? Just real like who are your go-tos?
Oh man, I was why is my brain you kind of always go to like old Def Leppard and Poison. It's like a ball back,
Dude, come on. Def Leppard's that is the only band I've seen multiple times in concert. I'm just throwing it out there. That's
oh yeah.
That's a go-to for me as well.
Yeah, that and the Murcielago or a combination I have to be sensible with.
I love it, dude. I love it. Yeah, GNR, Brian. I'm right there with you. Brother, this is freaking killer. So I'm gonna go. So I've got a couple action items on my side. I definitely have a few guys that I want to introduce you to with some great shows, great podcasts.
Cool.
I want to talk on that 501c3 side. We've got a couple of foundations on our side too, and I think there's some synergy and some things I want to continue those conversations. So we'll put this out as the show as well. I'm obviously going to put it internally. Where do you want people to go to find out more about what you've got going on? And then I'm going to shoot you a message after I debrief with these guys too, so we can keep this rolling.
Well, it's not about what I want. It's all about what you're going to see and you're going to judge for yourself. So geniusgarageracing.com is a Genius Garage site. In all honesty, it hasn't been updated in a few years, but it does give you a feeling for exactly what it is and what we do. And there's testimonials and everything on there. You can go to my Instagram and stalk me. Keep in mind it's Instagram, so it makes everything look prettier and richer than it is, whatever. So you can stalk me there and create your own opinions. And then obviously my YouTube channel is Casey the Car Guy at Casey Putsch. And just realize that it's long form stuff. The one thing I knew I could do when I started my channel, I didn't really know where I was going with it, but since I had traction with VinWiki, how to do it, is I knew I could be truthful. That's what I do. I sacrifice getting a lot more views and subscribers a lot by doing that. Because people typically like cotton candy in the car world more than me being like, actually, this is bullshit, and these people are terrible role models. They don't like that. But it's pretty cool. And I have been speaking genuinely from the heart of recent with some things in politics and society. So you can go there and you're gonna make your own judgment. And then I hope you're also looking at podcasts I do such as this, or Real AF with Andy Frischella, or Tucker Carlson Network. And then I would imagine between all those things, you guys can make your own assessment at what my deal is and my positives and negatives. And all I can say is I'm trying, guys.
Oh man, you're doing a damn good job, and you're leading and you're speaking out and you're speaking a whole lot of truth. And I appreciate the leadership. I appreciate the voice, man, and appreciate now the connection and somebody that, man, I'm telling you, we're speaking a lot of the same language. So thank you, brother.
It's scarier not to.
It is indeed. It
You know
is.
what I mean? I don't know if I'm so special, man. I think it's too terrifying not to. Like, it's terrifying to do the stuff I'm doing, I'll be honest. It's
Sure.
both hard and terrifying.
Sure.
But
Sure.
I know I can't. I'm not gonna. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I could keep my psychology together if I didn't do these
That's
things.
right. You sacrifice all the views in the world, but you can't sacrifice your sleeps. Don't sacrifice
Yeah.
looking at yourself in the mirror. It's that, man. 100%. Oh, grateful, man. I'm gonna take these guys through a little debrief. I'm gonna shoot you a message here in about 25 or so when we get off, and
Okay.
I'm gonna keep this rolling, man, because we got a lot of good stuff going
Thanks.
on.
I'll be ripping down the shop. I got to put the transmission back in my Viper. So text me or whatever.
Cool,
Or
man. I'll
email
make
me,
sure.
but you know,
Yeah, I'll make sure. I'm not sure if I got the number or not. I'll shoot you a message.
I'll send it to you or just shoot me an email. Do you need
Cool.
anything immediate or?
Nope.
Okay,
That's
cool.
it. Take all the time
Okay.
in the world. No worries. That's perfect.
Right on. Thanks, guy. You want me to punch out? You good?
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah,
All?
we're good. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. I
Thank
hope you
you, brother.
enjoyed it. It's a
Appreciate you,
sinus
man.
infection talking about
Yeah,
super
Thank you,
crazy.
sir.
No, man, you're awesome. I appreciate you.
Bye,
Talk
guys.
soon.
Thank you very much. I'm honored.